That is our signal that we are going to get started. It is 6 o'clock on Tuesday, January 3rd. I am Katie Logan Hedges, the chairperson of the Finance Committee. With us this evening, we have committee members Jeff Hallinan and Tom Duval, as well as our clerk, Melissa Burns. We also have the auditor, the mayor, the city law director, and all members of council here tonight. So we will get started. Can we please do a roll call, Melissa?
Hallinan,
Here.
Duval,
Yes.
Hedges.
Here. So all present. Melissa had sent out the meeting minutes from our first meeting of the year, which was on January 11th. Does anyone have any comments, questions, corrections to those minutes that were sent?
I have none. Me either, so I'll motion for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Tom Duval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So those meeting minutes will be filed. So we do have 5 items on our agenda this evening. We will go ahead and jump right in. Melissa, do you want to read the first ordinance, please?
An ordinance submitting ordinance numbers 965-2015, 212-2010, 1173-2018, and 1076-2022, implementing a uniform compensation system for the non-bargaining unit positions of the city of Circleville and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so with us we have Mark Bidwell, the auditor. Mark, do you want to speak to this one?
Yes, thank you. So what this is for the the uniform compensation system. So this includes probably about 40 employees for the city. So what we're looking at is a 4.5% increase. Last year it was a 5%. The insurance did go up 4%, so that is one of the reasons why we're looking at this. Also, these are some of the leadership as far as with the city. So we're trying to kind of keep a gap there between what the leadership is making and what everybody else is making, just to make sure that they are compensated for what they do as leadership. So that is the other reason why we're looking at the increase of the 4.5% to kind of keep them in line with everybody else.
Okay, what questions do this committee members have about this?
I don't remember. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, none from committee members. What about other council meetings who are present?
No, thank you.
Sherry
Have a
Tice
quick
has a question.
Yes. By leadership, you mean service director and his staff, the utilities director, those folks? Is that who this is?
Yeah, that would be included in it. And then department heads
Department heads? Okay.
is part of it as well.
Other questions? So-
And also just to kind of, and something I should have mentioned as well, I actually budgeted for
That was my other
5%
question.
increase, so we're actually underneath what I budgeted. So the budget is already set for this amount.
I'm sorry, you said that you budgeted at 4.5 or
No,
5%?
for five.
5%?
I budgeted for 5%.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so the budget was based on
Yeah,
5%. Okay. All right, other questions, comments? All right, hearing no additional comments.
Make a motion to forward this to our next council meeting on February the 6th, I think it is. Yes, 6th.
So motioned by Jeff Hallinan to forward it on to council on February 6th
With recommendation for passage.
with recommendation for passage, seconded by Tom Duval. Melissa, can we please do a roll call?
Hallinan,
Yes.
Duval,
Yes.
Hedges.
Yes. Thank you. So that will move forward to council next week. All right, second item, Melissa, if you wouldn't mind reading that.
An ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance in the general fund 101 Park Improvement Debt Issuance Fund 252, COVID-related federal grants fund 257, and municipal court CCA grant 23/24 fund 260 of the city of Circleville.
Thank you. Okay, so this one also comes from the auditor's office. Mark, do you want to speak to this one?
Yes, thank you. So what we did on this is the first, in the actual ordinance, the first 2 sections are offsetting. What we're doing is we're moving the funds from the service department in the amount of $74,535.53, which would cover the costs of a employee to be moved to the mayor's office to be able to be a full-time secretary. And again, that same amount is being pulled out of service and street department and being moved into the mayor's line. And again, that same amount of $74,535.53. The second increase is for the contract under the mayor. There was a contract from Montrose that was not budgeted for this year. So this $40,000 is for a contract that was entered into last year. And then there are two lines. The next two are in Fund 252. The funds for that line were actually expended before the end of the year, and that change could not be made until after the beginning of the year to decrease that amount in that fund. So we are reducing that line. And same thing with Fund 257, which is the ARPA funds. We had that over budgeted for coming into the year, so we are reducing that by $21,575 as well. And finally, the last line is for the CCA grant. That is a grant that the probation department gets. We had to wait till the beginning of the year to see the funds that would be coming in, and this will fund them till the middle of the year in their personnel costs and in their supplies and incidentals. So total of $90,204. The money was available, just had to wait till the beginning of the year for that to show up as available to appropriate.
Okay. So one question I have on section 1, we're reducing that total from the service department.
That is correct.
And so what was that money budgeted for in the service department that's being moved to the general fund?
There's an employee in the service department that will likely be moving to the mayor's department. So it's going to be taking those wages that person was making there in the service department and transferring them over to.
So the service department no longer needs that position?
That you would have to discuss with them. I don't know. Just know that that's what they wanted to.
That was the request.
I'm sorry?
That was their request?
That was their request.
Gotcha.
So basically, if we have staffing in the service department, there's going to be someone not there this year. It's kind of rhetorical.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
Funds aren't going to be there.
that's possible.
Yeah, I guess, see, my concern is we're establishing a new position here.
No, that position is actually by statute is they're allowed to have a full-time secretary.
The mayor is.
Mayor is.
But you're moving the money. So we're eliminating a position that currently works for the service department?
With the HR, you'd have to get with them on that. All I can tell you is what they requested as far as moving the money from one department to the other. Now, yeah, I mean, if service department requests to add another person in, then that would be another request for another day. But at this point, this is.
I guess my concern is timing. We're about to face a bond issue. Should that bond issue not pass, we're going to be reducing staff.
I agree.
And to establish a new position here until after, I'm talking about timing. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it.
Mhm.
I'm saying that I would rather see us do it after the bond issue has been passed.
So,
We're not creating a new position.
well, so I guess can we clarify that? Because there was not previously a full-time secretary for the mayor.
Right.
So where is that position coming
So
from?
this position in the service department was already doing tasks for the previous mayor,
Full-time?
not full-time, but this person is also not going to be doing full-time items for the mayor currently after they move. They're still going to be doing tasks for the service department. The job description is already approved in the ordinances of the city of Circleville. So it's not creating a new position.
I'm not concerned about a new position. I'm concerned about, is there a position that is being removed from the service department that will be needed down the road?
A position possibly, but not in this specific area because there are currently 2 administrative assistants for the service department.
And so we will not be backfilling the other?
That's correct.
Okay. Other questions or comments about that?
No, it's straightforward. It's just moving the funds over to the different department. It's not
Correct.
That's the
doing anything with
mechanics of
people.
this, but I don't,
Right.
I'm concerned to Mark's or to Tom's point that in a month, we're gonna be like, oh, we need a service person because we moved this over.
Administration will have to figure that out.
That is not currently the conversation.
Okay, questions from other council members?
I'll make a motion to forward this to
Hang on,
council.
I got
Oh,
other
Oh,
questions.
got another one.
Tell me about the Montrose $40,000. I know we paid them $77,000 for the study last year, which was approved in ordinances. Where's the $40,000 come from and what are they doing? Because I know we've got the grade separation, which is not them.
Right.
So what is this?
This was, to be perfectly honest with you, I was not in the discussion when this occurred. I'm trying to look it up. I know that they were doing some work with the state to get some more funds. Michelle, you may know more about this than I do because I'd have to look and actually, get some more information. But if you know, then I'll.
Was this-
Sure. So it's my understanding that there was a contract that was signed by the previous mayor with the Montrose Group to help with the state appropriation dollars. It was a contract in the amount of $40,000. My understanding is that it was thought that that would not need to come before council to be appropriated. I don't know how, why, or whatever. I just know that in the first 2 weeks, I received 2 bills from the Montrose Group to pay for it. And
For work that they had done or work that
for
they're
work
doing?
that they had done and work that they are continuing to do to advocate for the city with the state appropriation dollars.
But this has not been approved, is what you're saying? I was here for the last 2 years. I don't remember anything about it. It was approved, it slipped by me.
In a review of my 2023 pending resolutions, there was communication with the former law director with the service department that asked for a resolution to be drafted. That was the extent of it. There was no resolution drafted. The extent of the conversations then became that the mayor felt that he had the authority, given the amount, to go ahead and execute the contract. It's my understanding that the line items that were listed for those funds to come out of his funding don't even have enough money to cover that contract obligation. So at this point in time, there was a pending resolution or pending legislation for resolution, communication between the service director and Mr. Kenworthy asking for an ordinance to be drafted, and that was the end of that communication. There was never any formal ordinance or request from the representative of the law director's office.
So Kendra, help me here. You can come to the podium here for the clerk so she can get your voice. Thank you. So there was no legislation before council to enter into a contract with Montrose. What is the threshold amount that a mayor can sign off for to go and get outside legal services?
I think at this point, there was some type of either resolution or ordinance that looked at a $50,000 threshold. But again, I think the issue came here that the actual allocated line items in the mayor's budget did not have the appropriate funding that would have been able to even support that obligation. So obviously, I think there is an email chain. We're still all going back and forth. Is this something that we need to present a new threshold amount to council that requires, a contract above this price has to be in the form of a resolution? Which I think is probably going to be a long-term good idea for everybody involved with the city. However, at this point in time, all I've got is the past history that's in our pending legislation file, and then that's kind of where we've left it.
Right. And I think going forward is the right thing to do is to bring the council for some approval, because I know we have legal services for the cell phone tower work. We have legal services for our NCA work. We have legal services for other TIF agreements. This being one, Montrose being one. We have from Bricker, Rob McCarthy. There's another legal agreement that we're using outside legal services. So in the name of informing new council members and the public, we probably need to look at legislation, no matter what the dollar amount is.
And I wouldn't necessarily disagree. Again, this is a situation where
I think we've had significant years of this not
Yeah.
being brought to the attention, because I was surprised to learn how many outside counsel actually do business on behalf of the city aside from the law director's office. Going forward, I think that's something we can revisit, get the proper resolutions and ordinances before council for that. But at this point in time, I think this is a situation we didn't know about it until Bill arrived.
Sure. And that's why I think going forward, new law director, new administration, new council members, we ought to look at getting something in legislation form to
But
bring the
Do we
committee.
even know what it's for?
Yes, it is for their services to advocate for capital dollars from the state legislature.
So what does that mean?
So to help us get the money for Barthelmess Park, they're helping be our advocates.
So we're asking for a grant.
Now, this
Are they,
was
are they writing a grant? Are they lobbying for us? What is that?
Lobbying.
Lobbying, okay.
And there was a signed contract the mayor signed a
That
contract.
is correct.
So,
Yes, I mean,
so
this is
we
all
are
material.
contractually obligated.
Yeah, I think this legislation fixes the funding part for
Yeah.
the current agreement the previous mayor wrote. I'm just saying going forward,
Oh, yeah.
we
without
need to
doubt.
look at getting
Yeah.
some things before council for approval for other legal work.
Yeah, I also did want to point out that I did speak with a representative from the state auditor's office regarding the amounts that a department can spend. They were kind of vague. They didn't want to get into the, legal aspects and say, yes, it's a definitive this or that, but it goes back to our history of how we've done it. And like Kendra spoke to, the fact that it's always been up to that amount of that $50,000.
$50,000.
And there is pending litigation, and I don't know where it's at right now, but I know that's going up to, I'm assuming it's going to go to $75,000 probably at some point this year, if it hasn't already passed in $75,000. So I think getting out in front of it would be good, because when I saw this, it kind of bothered me because, again, it's right there up against that $50,000 point. But as a history of what the city of Circleville has done, yes, a department director level could have signed for that as long as it was underneath that $50,000.
So specifically in the contract, the scope of the services, the city is seeking state government funding for various community projects tied to the state of Ohio capital budget community project legislation and the Ohio Community Investment Fund legislation. This contract is for the year 2024.
So this is not, the 40,000 isn't for services they've done. It's for 2024.
Well, they already started it
For
because
2024, a couple
the
weeks.
contract was signed in November.
Okay, any other questions or
So
comments
let me understand, if we go forward, what will we do
in regards to this?
in general for contracts?
I think the city law director and the mayor are going to come up with a better solution.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
Yeah.
For
I
transparency.
think that's fair. We'll look at other areas. Obviously, we still need to have the ability for department heads to be able to not constantly have to be in front of council. No offense or anything, but the practicality of that versus the situation that we came to today, I think they're polar opposites. So I think working with the mayor, we can kind of look at some of these areas, look at what seems comparable to our size or limiting those budgets to, or those, authorized transactions to, and then be able to present something more formally at a later date.
Thanks, Kendra. All good?
No, but I'll vote for it.
Well, do you have additional
Go for it.
comments or questions?
I don't like, it doesn't feel right.
So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but the problem is we are contractually obligated for something that they have already.
I said I'd vote for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. But
You
it's
asked if I
like,
liked it. I don't like it.
well, you don't have to like it, but you're good to not have any further discussion about
I
it?
am.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add?
No,
Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to forward this on to council on February the 6th with recommendation for passage.
Why don't you second and I'll vote for it?
Second. All right, Melissa, can we do a roll call, please?
Hallinan,
Yes.
Duval,
Yes,
Hedges.
Yes. All right, thank you. So that too will go to council on February 6th. That brings us to the third item on our agenda, Mr. Hallinan.
I would like to request or make a motion to adjourn into executive session. The motion is in regards to employment, discipline, and compensation of a public employee pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1. And I would request that all of council attend, the mayor, the law director, the assistant law director, and letting everyone know that we will reconvene and continue our committee meeting after.
So there's a motion to adjourn into executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. I'm sorry. Tom Duval seconds. Can we do a roll call to adjourn into executive session?
Duval,
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Hedges.
Yes, and we will reconvene after the session.
extra fancy words, right?
No.
I would like to make a motion to return into Finance Committee meeting, our Finance Committee meeting.
So we have a motion to return.
Second.
And by Jeff Hallen and seconded by Tom Duval. Can we do a roll call, please?
Hallinan,
Yes.
Duval,
Yes.
Hedges.
Yes. Okay, so we are back into the regular finance meeting. If we could resume the agenda, Melissa, if you could read our next ordinance, which is letter D on the agenda.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a grievance arbitration settlement agreement with a city employee and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the members of the committee?
None.
Any from council? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
So we have a motion by Tom Duval to move forward to council on February 6th, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. And Melissa, can we please do a roll call?
Duval,
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Hedges.
Yes. So that will also move forward next week to council. Thank you. And Melissa, if you could read item E.
An ordinance to authorize and implement the labor agreement between the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association and the city of Circleville.
Thank you. Discussions regarding this item.
I think we need to continue to discussion it, so probably motion to table it.
All right, so we have a motion on the table, or on the table to table this ordinance. Is there a second? So motioned by Jeff Hallinan, seconded by Tom Duval to table this motion. Melissa, can we please do a roll call?
Hallinan,
Yes.
Duval,
Yes.
Hedges.
Yes. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Does anybody have any old business, other business? President Keller?
I just want to comment, as you know, Melissa's worked hard to get us the information as it was made available to her. Being it's a committee work, it's within our rules that things go out a day before, and the committee chair can't accept legislation right up to the committee time of the meeting. So again, just being flexible, being fluid, that's what can happen during the committee meeting. So thanks to Katie and Melissa for getting everything to the committee members and council and the administration in time for the meeting.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, hearing no additional business, is there a motion to adjourn?
No move.
Moved by Tom Duval to adjourn,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff Hallinan. We are adjourned at 7:17.